Hey, welcome to Creative for More, the podcast. Over here, our conversations are centered around birthing the more that exists within you. We help you mine your originality, live more resiliently, and leverage all of your experiences so that you can serve the world as the highest expression of yourself. My guests will challenge your thinking and give you practical insights for being more, doing more, and having more. My name is Tonbra, and I am your host. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to today's installment of Created for More, the podcast. So today is our very special More Insights segment. And essentially, if you're new to the show, on More Insights, I share from the heart and just generally connect with you. So we don't have any guests or anything like that, but you have more than guests. You've got me. So today I want to share with you something that absolutely blew my mind, and I just knew I had to do a podcast on it just so that I could just share all the thoughts that were racing through me and I know will just generally be a blessing to you as well. I went for an art exhibition over the weekend. It was an art exhibition of a Dutch painter who became famous pretty much and one of the most influential figures in Western art history after his death. So it's very interesting. His name was Vincent Van Gogh. So I'm trying to pronounce it well. It's Van Gogh, but most people call it Van Gogh. But it's Vincent Van Gogh. For emphasis, what I'm going to be sharing is 10 lessons I learned just by being at that art show and learning about his life, seeing some of his paintings, and just kind of being immersed in his world. I thought, this is amazing. I've got to discuss this. But just to give you a little bit of backstory, I've always been fascinated by art. I've always loved it and whatnot. But, kind of like in the business of life, I've just never really gotten round to, going over and beyond in terms of studying artists and trying to understand, stuff that what the kind of arts that he created and all of that. I've never really been that much into art in that respect, which is a bit of a shame, because now that I'm doing it a little bit more, I just kind of feel like I've lost a lot of time that I could have been enjoying it. But there are no regrets, I still have a lot of time ahead of me, so that's good. But backstory is myself and my daughters kind of dabbled into this whole world, particularly of Vincent Van Gogh during the lockdown. When the lockdown happened, we started to just kind of, obviously everyone was homeschooling, I was homeschooling as well, and I wanted to kind of go delve a little bit deeper. And I was using some, kind of different curriculums. I think I was using the Charlotte Mason curriculum. For those of you who are homeschoolers, you might know what that is. And as part of that curriculum, there's art has a huge focus or emphasis within the curriculum, and they've just got different artists that they study per term. And this was the one that was Vincent Van Gogh was one of the artists that myself and my daughters took an interest in. And so when I saw that there was an exhibition in London, I thought, actually, this is great. This is great to take what they read about back then to actually then see in real life and just really, appreciate the artist and the art a little bit more. So it was fantastic, absolutely brilliant. But today I'm going to be sharing 10 lessons that I know will definitely bless you. Okay, so the first one is, whatever your hand finds to do, just do it. And this is really interesting. Actually, IJ caught this part. So the first one is go in the direction of what feels the most like you. Go in the direction of what feels the most like you. So for Vincent Van Gogh, what was interesting about his story was he actually thought he was going to be a minister. It was actually a very, very devout Christian, and he thought he was going to be in fact he turned into religion and became a missionary in southern Belgium. However, somehow it didn't quite click for him, so somehow he just kind of stumbled upon art, and he realized that was his thing, and essentially he went in the direction of that thing that felt the most natural to him. So whereas it would have been great, of course, if it was a minister and stuff, but in terms of the impact and just how he's currently so immortalized, I definitely know that this was part of, the calling and the commission on his life, was to, do what he did with his life, which is to be this world-renowned painter. So I guess the lesson there is for, whatever feels natural to you, do it. Don't feel like you have to, shoehorn yourself into things, into molds and confines and boxes that society would create, or social scripts that the society creates for you. Just feel your way through life. Feel your way through life. Don't feel like you have to follow stipulations. If it doesn't feel natural, if it doesn't feel like you are, moving along with the tide instead of countercurrent, you want to really dig into that feeling and make sure that you are honoring yourself and ensuring that you are giving yourself the best chance for success in life by making sure that you are going along with the tide, not against it. Okay. And then the second thing I learned is, don't quit before your miracle happens. Don't quit. The amount of people that just kind of feel like, oh my goodness, this isn't working out for me, and they just, give up. Sadly, very, very sadly, Vincent Van Gogh, he died when he was 37 years old, really, really young. He died before he became world acclaimed. He died, when he died, he was not commercially successful. He struggled with depression. He was poor. He had mental health issues, and he was considered pretty much a madman and a failure, But guess what? Shortly after, he became really, really famous posthumously. So how sad is it that, a lot of times we feel like, oh, you're doing the work, but you know what? Maybe because you feel like it's not being recognized, or you feel like, you're not getting, the kind of remuneration or the kind of rewards that you would expect for what you're doing, you just kind of stop and you cut yourself short. And I really, really can relate to it, particularly, and I'll be a bit vulnerable on the podcast today. Sometimes when it feels like, you're doing stuff like, coming out here speaking week after week and just being on the podcast and just encouraging people and doing all the things that I do, particularly for me, sometimes there's that temptation to feel like, oh my gosh, it's like, is anyone listening? Is this really making an impact? Should I stop? It is something that, a lot of people think about in their respective endeavors. But I just want to really, really encourage you today is that don't quit before your miracle happens. Don't do it. I've seen some of these photos that get posted on WhatsApp, and you find someone who's digging and just kind of gives up, and while he's just like 2 foot away from like a gold mine. So just don't stop. If it feels natural, if it feels like you, just keep going and the rewards will come. Okay. And then number 3 is legacy honors diligence. You will be remembered for what you devote yourself to. You will be remembered. People will remember you for what you've been diligent at. Not what you do when it only feels good, but what you do and you continue to do regardless of how it feels. Legacy honors discipline. Legacy honors commitment. Legacy honors consistency. Legacy honors you when you put your hand to the plow and you don't look back. That is what you'll be remembered for. The thing that you put your heart and soul in without stopping, without relenting. So I want to ask you this question. What is that thing for you? What is that thing that you will be remembered for? If you don't have an easy answer for this question, I want you to literally stop in your tracks. This is an emergency. Stop in your tracks right now. Retreat immediately and start to decide within yourself. Understand, retreat immediately and then start to really, really dig deep and search out these answers for yourself. Legacy honors diligence. So what is that thing that you will be remembered for? And how are you being diligent about it now? So on to number 4, and number 4 is you're perfect for your genius. Lots and lots of debate have been had over whether or not Vincent Van Gogh was colorblind. He went through a phase that was called a yellow vision phase, and he did a lot of paintings of sunflowers and all this stuff, and it is thought that he was actually colorblind. He had protanopia, which is a common color blindness that impacts men particularly, I think. And so it was thought that there was something in him that made it easier for him to come up with such vibrancy in his colors and use and mix colors in the way that he did. And I just thought that that's just so beautiful, because if indeed that this is true, it means that we are perfect for our genius. Whatever thing that you have as you are is perfect for the things that you have been created to do. I want you to sit into this thought. I want you to really, really sit into it and understand that, the things that you might feel are disadvantages, things that are not necessarily what others will celebrate about you, are actually the things that make you perfect for the thing that you were created for. I want you to sit into that thought. Sit into that thought. Unearth those things and start to just look at them in a different way and say, hey, I may not have this and this and all. This might not be working very well, but it is perfect for my genius. Say, it is perfect for my genius. It is absolutely perfect. One of the things that I used to be told a lot when I was younger is, you talk too much. Would you believe that? Every single place I would go to, either at school or, church, everywhere, I would always get told, Tonbra, you just speak a lot. Guys, what am I using now to communicate and create, the genius that I have over the last, going on 2 years now? It's speaking, it's podcasting, it's that thing that was supposed to be an imperfection, but really wasn't. It's perfect, actually, for my genius. So sit into that thought. Going on to number 5 is, it is not how long, but actually it is how well. And I love this point, because it takes the focus off of what society would deem as really, really necessary for, mastery of our genius and all this kind of things. When you do what you do and you give your soul and your heart to it, you become good at it. And that shortens the time that you need to be able to deliver what you were created to deliver through that thing, right? So it is not how long, it is just how well. Vincent Van Gogh, he had a really short career. Really short career. In fact, he most of his artwork was done in 1 decade. In 1 decade, he created 2,100 artworks, including around 860 oil paintings. Like, just think about that. Think about that. He was churning out art like it was going out of fashion, like literally churning it out. In fact, most of his artworks were created, they were dated in the last 2 years of his life. So meaning from about 35 to 37. 2 years was all it took to become this huge, legacy to create this huge legacy that he has now, right? So it's not about how long, it is actually about how well. Okay. Number 6, the vessel can either build or destroy. And this one is very important because, as I said earlier, Vincent Van Gogh was considered a madman because he was mentally unstable. So when you read about him, which I suggest that you do, you will learn about different episodes, and which ultimately led to him taking his life, sadly. But at some point he even cut off his own left ear, and he was in and out of psychiatric hospitals. He was depressed and all of that. So the vessel, which is his outer man, was a custodian in a sense of his essence, which is his inner man. His essence is that thing within him that impacts, that sees, that loves, that creates, that does all these beautiful things. But what is important to note is that it's important to care for your vessel. It's important to do whatever you can to ensure that your vessel can help propagate your essence to the highest possible order, right? Number 7th point is true authenticity needs no validation. I love this. True authenticity is bold, it's audacious, it's pace setting, it's trend setting, it's trailblazing. It just does. It has no questions. It needs no validation. It doesn't ask, it doesn't need anything from anyone. It just does. I love it. When you're authentic, you stand out. You stand out and you attract your true tribe. People who are called onto you or, drawn to you based on what you carry, your authentic self. So I never, ever want you to discount authenticity. If you are feeling a lot like you need validation, you've got some self-confidence issues, a lot of times you will find that it's linked to you not being and embracing yourself truly. Because when you're not, you feel out of kilter, you feel you start asking the question, am I doing this right? So when you start to ask yourself, am I doing this right? Is this how it should be? A lot of times that's indicative of the fact that there is a way that you think it should be, that you've seen being done before, that you're trying to emulate, right? So you must stand true. You must stand authentically. You must stand for your true convictions. because that is how you live well. And that is how, Vincent Van Gogh was able to, create so many paintings, because he wasn't worried about what other people were doing, what Rembrandt was doing. He wasn't worried about that. He just sat and created his own movement, literally created his own style, created his own movement, and now people are doing what he did ages ago. I think that's just beautiful and perfect. Moving on to number 8. Number 8 is creativity thrives in solitude. Vincent Van Gogh, he was alone for most of his life because of his mental health issues. He had to be sectioned, so he was tripping in and out of psychiatric wards. And in that time, he was alone for a considerable amount of time. And what history accounts for is the fact that he did most of his work, most of his best genius grade creative work whilst he was alone. And the challenge right now is that for some reason in our generation, people don't want to be alone. People don't want to focus on anything. People are highly distracted in this world of social media, Instagram and whatnot. Everything is geared to ensure that you are not alone. You are, your mind is constantly being jostled for. So you have to be intentional about creating environments that spark your creativity. And one of that is leveraging solitude, meditation, being by yourself, planning retreats by yourself. This one is a real big game changer for me. I know when I can't think, and I say to myself, oh my gosh, I can't think, because just the hustle and bustle of life, this one, that one, school run, this one, this, it's so much going on. But the times where I take time out and I say, you know what, I'm just going to retreat by myself, I come up with the most refreshing ideas, and it's just so beautiful. So I want to encourage you. When was the last time you took a retreat? You went on a retreat. What was the last time you just stopped and sat in silence? I had a guest on the podcast, Nancy, and she spoke on purpose. Nancy Aragbaye. You want to check it out. It's the episode is called Purpose Simplified. And Nancy, when I was interviewing her, said that she takes every single Tuesday off. I was like, wait, what do you mean? Do you mean just like in the early hours of Tuesday? She says she takes every single Tuesday off. She sits down and she spends time with herself. She spends time with God. She's reading the Bible. She's strategizing. She's just thinking deeply. And she says that is where, if she had to say what's the one thing that is the biggest game changer for her, she'll say that it was that, because that's where she's gotten some of her most amazing ideas and strategic thoughts. I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to take time out, plan to take time out. If you can't do one day, of course, it's a lot. Everyone has commitments, right? Can you do a few hours? If you can't do a few hours, can you do 1 hour? If you can't do 1 hour, can you even just be disciplined enough to say, you know what, 30 minutes every single day, I'm just going to close my door. Even if you're mom or whatever, just negotiate. That's what we have to do. You have to negotiate for the time that you need. Say, by this time to this time, I will be unavailable. Even don't call me unless the house is burning down. I'll be unavailable. And guess what? If you ask for it, you will most likely get it. Sit down, turn off your phone, and just sit into yourself. Sit into your thoughts. Process what's going through your mind. Be present. Practice mindfulness. And just let that let that creativity burst out of you and see how you will just be, you'll be 2 steps or 3 steps ahead of everything that you do, based on the fact that you're taking time out to think about it ahead of the actual activities. Even Jesus Christ took time out to pray, retreated in solitude, just because that's where you get your power from, right? Okay, and then on to number 9. Number 9 is beauty is partial to the observant. Beauty is everywhere. Ideas are everywhere, but they are partial to the observant. They will only be noticed by who is looking out for them. You must know that. The answers to the things that you want are all around you. They're not going to drop magically from heaven. You, the way you are right now, you probably know someone in your network that has the answers to some of your pressing problems. But because you are just involved, you are busy with life, you are just doing the hustle and bustle, you don't take time out. You don't notice what is already around you, what is within your power to grasp. Beauty is indeed partial to the observant. Good fortune is partial to the ones who take time out and desire it and place a demand on it and sit on it. Beauty is partial to the observant. In Vincent Van Gogh's case, whilst he was in a mental health institution, he was in a village also in France that was so beautiful. They had this VR rendering of the village, which was like one of the most magical experiences ever. We had to wear this 3D glasses, and we were transported into this village, and we saw the sites for some of his most iconic paintings. And what fascinated me the most was the fact that he wasn't going out to like paint, oh my gosh, like really, really, amazing, or there wasn't anything ostentatious about the things that he was painting. They were just normal, everyday things. He just opened his eyes to beauty. Normal, everyday things. Some of his paintings, you would just see like 2 peasants lying down in a hay. That's it. You see him paint that. You will see him paint, one of his most iconic paintings is actually Starry Night, which is so beautiful. Just Google it, Starry Night by Vincent Van Gogh, and you see it. And what was that? It was he just painted the night sky. We all have the night sky, but nobody's looking at it as extremely beautiful. Or at least I know I'm not. But he saw beauty in it. So what are you missing? What are you not seeing beauty in that you could be seeing beauty in? What is within your gifts that you have not yet explored? And then on to number 10. Number 10, it had to be this one. True genius lives forever. It does live forever. It transcends time. It transcends generation. It's immortal. It lives forever. That thing that is on the inside of you, that gold, if you would harness it and bring it out, it will live beyond you. That is exactly how our world was mapped and wired, that everyone plays a core function and they do it to the highest possible degree, and when they do, they are remembered for it. They are remembered for their diligence, they are remembered for their consistency, they are remembered for their passion, they are remembered for just what they brought into that thing. the world will remember you when you step and in and own your genius. The world will remember you. That's exactly what we're doing now. How many years later, right? This is Vincent Van Gogh. He died, over 100 years ago. And what am I doing today? I'm talking about him. I'm having this podcast. I'm doing all of that because true genius, it lives forever. Alrighty, I know that you have taken a lot out of what I've shared today. I want you to do 2 things for me. Number 1, I want you to let me know what stood out for you. Out of the 10 points, either drop me an email at tonbra@tonbra.com and say, hey Tonbra, I listened to you and this is the point I loved the most. Or put it out on Instagram, tag me, say, hey, I was listening to episode, not too sure what the episode is, but episode number is, but I was listening to latest podcast and this stood out for me because of this. Okay. And the number 2 thing I want you to do is I want you to be on the lookout. I have a series of conversations that are truly going to be transformational. It's called the Voyage to Growth Conversation series, and it is kicking off on the 12th of May, and it will be epic. I've got some epic speakers lined up, and I am going to be teaching very, very passionately by myself on one day, and then alongside just really fantastic thought leaders. And we're going to be talking about growth. We're going to be talking about that journey to delivering what is on the inside of you, what that looks like. We're starting from identity, going all the way up until the fulfillment and the achievement of your goals and all of that. And trust me, I haven't been this excited about a set of conversations for a long time, so I look forward to having them. So I want you to be on the lookout. I want you to actually, beyond being on the lookout, I want you to go and register. Go on to tonbra.com/VTGC, so Voyage to Growth Conversation, VTGC, and register. Or click on the link in my Instagram and register so that you can attend. I look forward to seeing you. I know you'll be better for it, and I look forward to hearing back from you on which of these points stood out the most. Until next time, take care. Thank you for joining me this week on Created for More, the podcast. Make sure you visit my website. I'm at tonbra.com, where you can subscribe to the show either via iTunes or Spotify so that you never miss a show going forward. You can also follow me on social media. I'm at tonbra.moswago. And if you love the show, please leave a rating on iTunes so that we can continue to bring you amazing episodes. Thanks for listening, and see you next week. Don't forget, you are created to be more, to do more, and have more. Bye for now.